everyone, it's Nadia from YARNutopia. It has been a while since we put out a new tutorial, so here we are. If you're new here, welcome to the crochet community. We make so many fun projects, and this one is extremely easy, and I can't wait to share with you the crunch stitch. This stitch is perfect for men and women. It's a great unisex pattern, and we are going to be doing this scarf today in the crunch stitch, adding fringe, which is a lot of fun, and I'll just get into the supplies and then we'll get into making this piece. So big huge thank you to Lion Brand Yarn for providing the yarn for this project. I'm using Vanna's Choice. Love Vanna White. We are doing Vanna's Choice yarn for Lion Brand yarns, and Lion Brand provided this yarn for us today in all of these colors to make this project for you here on this tutorial. This is a size medium 4 worsted weight yarn. It's 100% acrylic, so you can use anything equivalent to this if you are unable to get Lion Brand Vanna's Choice in your town, wherever you live. So, or you can order it online. I will provide links to all these colors in the description of this video, and I will list all these colors that I used from Lion Brand so you don't have to do any guesswork. I have it all listed in the description of this video and on my website in the materials section of this pattern. You will get the free written pattern for this project on YARNutopia.com as well. We are going to be using a J size crochet hook. This is 6 millimeters. Newer hooks have actually put on their hooks, if you're using a boy hook or a Bates hook, 5.75 millimeters, and that's fine too. Really, you can use any size hook you want to in this project. This hook I got from the Etsy shop, Would Be Fancy. This is a hand-carved, ergonomically carved hook like this that fits in the palm of my hand. It looks so fabulous and it feels great. It's a lightweight crochet hook, and the bigger handle with the grooves in there to fit in my hand just makes it so easy to work with crocheting for a really long period of time. I absolutely love these hooks. You should get them too. Link is in the description of this video. So go to Etsy and get Would Be Fancy crochet hooks. We're also using scissors and a yarn needle, just cutting yarn. We're changing colors quite a bit, so sewing in our ends with the yarn needle. You can sew in your ends as you go. I highly recommend that, just because I am changing colors so often that it is easier to sew in your ends so that you're not giving yourself a headache later. And as for the fringe, we are using just one of the colors that we use. So I just bought one ball of yarn, or I got one ball of yarn from Lion Brand, but one ball of each color, I should say. But you can use as many colors as you want. Make this a scrap project with, you know, extra yarn that you have lying around, or you can do it all in one solid color. Totally cool. Whatever you'd like to do. So those are all the supplies you need. I did make this a 6-foot long scarf, so you can see that it is very long. We do over 200 rows in this, but that is it. So let me know what you think in the comments. If you make this, please share a photo on Facebook or on Instagram, #YARNutopia, so I can see your work and tag me. And also subscribe to our channel here on YouTube. Check out Lion Brand Yarn's Instagram, their Facebook, all their social media. They have wonderful yarns, wonderful projects to make with their yarns. And yeah, that's really all I have to say in this intro. I'm glad to be back. I hope you all are having a great year so far. And let's get started and make this fabulous scarf. To start off, we are going to make a slip knot. So put your short end over your long end, then fold this down, and then pull your long end through and pull tight. Just like that. Insert your hook, and we are using the J hook, which is 6 millimeters. Okay, and really you can use any hook size for this. We're going to chain any even number that reaches 12 inches. I'm going to chain 36. So yarn over, pull through, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I won't make you watch me do 36 chains. So just chain 36 and I'll be right back. Alright, so we have our chain here. So what we're going to do, you can measure it. If it measures 12 inches, then that's perfect. That's the width of our scarf. And now we're going to be working the short rows of the scarf and making it as long as we want. So to do this crunch stitch, we are going to work in the second chain from the hook. So the loop on the hook does not count. And you can see here's one chain. So do work in this second chain here. We're going to do a half double crochet in there. So yarn over, and what I personally like to do is work in the back ridges of my chain, but you can work in any loop of your chain, does not matter. So go into the second chain, so 1, 2 right here, second chain from the hook, yarn over, go into that chain right there, then yarn over, pull through the chain. So you have 3 loops on your hook, yarn over and pull through all 3 of those loops. And there's a half double crochet. Now in the next stitch, in the next chain here, we are going to just slip stitch, but our slip stitches need to be a little loose because we are going to be working into our slip stitches in the next rows. So go into this next chain, no yarning over, just go into the chain, then yarn over and pull through the chain and through the loop on your hook. Okay, but don't pull too tight because you want to work into this stitch later. Okay, so in the next chain we are going to put a half double crochet. So we're just going to alternate these 2 stitches all the way across our chain. So yarn over, go into the next chain, yarn over, pull through, and then yarn over and pull through all 3 loops. Okay, then slip stitch into the next chain. So go into the next chain, yarn over, pull through, and through the loop on your hook, but don't pull too tight. You want to be able to work in that later. Okay, so just alternate these 2 stitches all the way across. So I'll show you again, just half double crochet into the next chain, then slip stitch into the next chain. Okay, then half double crochet into the next chain, and then slip stitch into the next. Okay, I'll do that all the way across and then we'll go on to row 2 together. Alright, when you have 1 chain left on my row, I have to half double crochet into my last stitch, or my last chain. Regardless of how many chains you have left, if you have to half double crochet or slip stitch into the last stitch, it does not matter because nobody will see the end of your row. So this is what it looks like so far. That is considered the crunch stitch, and now we're going to go on to the next row. So the next row we're just going to chain 1, and this is our repeat here. So we're just going to chain 1, okay, and on in the half double crochet stitches we are going to slip stitch, and in the slip stitches we are going to half double crochet, and that's for the rest of this pattern. So if you see it as a half double crochet, and to tell if it's a half double crochet, you will see this slanted kind of line in front here. We don't work into that stitch or that loop or anything, but that is the half double crochet stitches. So you see the slanted line and then you go above there, and that is exactly where you'll work into the stitch. Okay, I hope that makes sense. I'll show you now. We are going to, so make sure you chain 1 at the beginning of every row, and then go into the half double crochet stitch, which is right here, the very first stitch. Go in, yarn over, pull through, and that is our slip stitch, and make it loose so you can work into that the next row. Then half double crochet into the slip stitch right here, so yarn over and make your half double crochet, and then just alternate those 2 stitches all the way across. So this next stitch is a half double crochet stitch, so we're going to work a slip stitch into that. So go in, yarn over, pull through, and through. Okay, then half double crochet into the next, then slip stitch in the next, and we're just alternating those 2 stitches all the way across. Okay, so then at the end of this row I'll come back and show you how to go on to row 3. Okay, so at my very last stitch right here, you can see this is a half double crochet stitch from the previous row, so we're going to slip stitch into our last stitch. Now, just remember, regardless if it's a half double crochet stitch at the end there, or if it's a slip stitch, just make sure you put the correct stitch into it. So if you ended row 1 with a slip stitch, then make sure your last stitch here is a half double crochet. And if you ended like me with a half double crochet, then we're going to end row 2 with a slip stitch, okay? So slip stitches go into half double crochets, and half double crochets go into slip stitches, and that is what row 2 looks like. So now going on to row 3, this is just our repeat now, so we're going to chain 1, turn our work, and that first stitch is a slip stitch, so we are going to half double crochet into there. So basically just repeat row 1 for row 3. Half double crochet in the first stitch, slip stitch into the next. Okay, so what I'm going to do is make this crunch stitch for 5 rows total before I change color. Okay, so basically we're alternating rows 1 and 2 till we finish row 5. Okay, once I'm finished with row 5, I'll show you how to change color. And I'm going to grab a tan color next. You can grab any colors you want for this project. This is a scrap yarn project, so you can use any colors. But if you want it just to be solid, just continue this pattern as long as you want with the same color, no color changes or anything. And I'll just show you how to change color if you choose to do that. I'll do a color change after row 5, so I'll be right back. Alright, we're finishing row 5 here. I'm ending with a half double crochet. If you're ending with a slip stitch, just make your slip stitch and chain 1, cut your yarn, and pull it all the way through. I'll show you that next. But if you're changing color and you're doing a half double crochet, I don't want to confuse you. So if I'm ending row 5 with a half double crochet, we're going to change color here. So start off your half double crochet, but leave those 3 loops on your hook. Grab your new color. There we go. Hook that on. Okay. Pull it through those 3 loops to finish off that half double crochet stitch, and now you have your new color here. And we're going to pull this, all these stragglers here, then we're going to chain 1, turn our work, and continue as we were. Now, like I said, if you ended your row with a slip stitch, you can fasten off, okay? But what I'm going to do here, if you ended like me, you have these stragglers here. You can cut your old color and sew in these ends. And I recommend you sew in as you go so that you don't have to sew in a bunch of ends at the end. But I'll show you how to fasten off a slip stitch, or any stitch really, toward the end of this project, because at the end I'll show you how to fasten off. Okay, so I'm going to do 5 rows of this, then change color, and do 5 rows of a new color, then change color, 5 rows of a new color. And we're just going to keep doing that for the length of our project. Like I said, sew in your ends as you go, and I'll show you that at the end as well. So I'm just going to continue working this, changing color every 5 rows, and I'll see what I come up with at the end, how many rows I do, I'll let you know, and you can just make this as long as you want. I wanted to go for like a 6 foot, almost 7 foot long piece, because you want to wrap it around your neck at least once. Some people like to wrap their scarves twice, so you can just go as long as you want. So I'm going to keep doing this repeat of this crunch stitch. Look at how nice that texture is though, it looks really nice. So I'm going to continue this and I'll show you what I have finished, and we'll fasten off together, sew in some ends together, and make the fringe. Alright, so you can see here I've done so many color changes, and this is what my scarf looks like. I ended up doing 205 rows, but you can do as many rows as you want, and these are the color changes that I did. And now I'm at the end here, so I want to show you how I fasten off. And You can choose to, but I ended with the same color I started with, but you can choose however you want to. My color pattern is very random. There's no actual rhyme or reason to this color pattern, but this is what it looks like, and the crunch stitch looks so fabulous. As you can tell, I did sew in as I went, but some of these I have to kind of fix a little bit. But this is what it looks like. So I'll show you how to fasten off. Regardless if you end with a slip stitch or a half double crochet, all you have to do when you make your last stitch, I ended here with a half double crochet, you can chain one and then cut your yarn. I don't know where my scissors went. Here we go. Cut your yarn and pull it all the way through. Pull that tight, and that's how you fasten off. So I was telling you earlier, if you end with a slip stitch, you can fasten off and not change your color like how I did show you. You can fasten off your slip stitch, turn your work, and just insert your hook, if you're changing color, insert your hook into the very first stitch, which would be your slip stitch, and just hook on your new color and just go at it with your crunch stitch. I mean, there's really no wrong way to do that part, starting and stopping your rows or changing colors. But as you can see here, what I'm doing is yarning a yarn needle, and I'm just going into the stitches and hiding these ends, and that's exactly how I sewed in my ends the whole time. A lot of people like to crochet over their stragglers so that it's hidden as you go, and that's a great concept as well. And I did do that in a few of my rows, and the yarn is completely hidden, can't even see it. I recommend going back and forth a few times just so that it is for sure secure, and stretch it out, and then cut any excess. Okay, just like that. So there it is. So you can decide if you want fringe or not. If you don't want fringe, you're done. Congratulations. But if you want to add some fringe like me, I'll show you this end here. I've added about 10 inches of fringe. You can add however long or short of fringe you want, but I'll show you how to add this to the opposite side. So grab the color or colors you want to make your fringe in. My mom actually suggested that I do all the colors of fringe, but I wanted it to be a solid color. So it's really up to you as the creator what you want it to be, if you want to use all your colors on the fringe or one color. So I decided to do this gold color. So let me grab, I think this is actually called Gold Mine. Okay, and what I ended up doing is using the end of my scarf as a measure, and I did it twice. So I'll show you exactly what I did. I took the end of my yarn and I laid it out right here on this piece, and I measured that out, and then I did it again. Okay, and this whole thing is now the length of my strand. Okay, so I'm going to just make a bunch of strands. Okay, and each tassel that I attached has 2 strands of yarn per fringe. Okay, and I'll show you what I mean. Let me just make a bunch of these. Okay, cut this. It goes faster when you do a bunch at the same time rather than doing one at a time. So you can see I'm just trimming here, making sure these end up being just strands instead of loops. Okay, and once you have all your strands, okay, I'm going to lay them next to here so you can see exactly what I do. So I take 2 strands at a time, okay, like this. Fold it in half if you want to. Okay, grab your crochet hook and then insert it into the first stitch on the end there, just like that, or the first chain, whichever side you're working on. Hook that on and pull it through. Hold one half and then pull the other half through. Okay, then make sure they are equal at the end here. Okay, then you want to wrap around your hand or your finger, kind of like how you're making a slip knot. Okay, crisscross. Let me see, how did I do this? I did this yesterday, so I was like trying to remember. Okay, so I crisscrossed over, then I took my crochet hook through and pulled it. However you make your slip knots, okay? Just make a slip knot, then push it all the way up to the top and secure it. Okay, I'll show you again because I feel like my fingers got in the way there. So we're going to go in and we're going to skip a stitch. So go into this, skip this stitch here, go into this next stitch here. I'm just going to leave my hook there, grab 2 strands of yarn from that little strand section there, okay? Make sure they're even, fold it in half, pull it through the stitch, hold only half of that and pull it all the way through like that. Line them up so they are pretty equal. And then I wrapped it like this, how I normally do a slip stitch or slip knot here. Okay, and then pull all the way through, and then slide that knot all the way up to the top. Okay, and then there it is secure. Okay, so you could do that with all the way across. So skip the next stitch, go into the next, and make your fringe. And you can do that type of fringe adding. That's a cool way, or I mean, there's so many different ways to add fringe. I know one other way I'll show you quick is if you just hold the loop like this. Okay, and then put this through like this. And then pull it tight. And that's a good way too. So either way you could do it, but this one tends to get loose and you'll have to tighten it. And I've actually washed pieces that have fringe like that and they have actually fallen off. So, I mean, as long as you're careful and you pull it really tight, but I personally like this knotted way because then it won't come off or won't unravel. Okay, so I'm just going to pull, make sure they're even too at the end, but at the end we're going to trim the ends to make them straight and even on both sides. Okay. So I'm going to do that all the way across and then I'll be back when I'm finished. Alright, I'm just trimming up these edges. If you have something with a straight edge, like this, I have a ruler here, but if you have like a notebook or something hard, you can just put it on the edge here like this and then cut along that. And that will straighten up your edges, and you want to do that to both, make sure both of your sides of your scarf are done before you do that, because you want both sides to be equal. And this is what it looks like then. Both sides have fringe and they are both equal in measurement. So that is the scarf. Look at that. It looks so fabulous. I had so much fun making this. It took me about a week to complete fully. I did not work on it continuously though. I have a toddler who runs around all day. But I worked on it a few hours a day when he was napping and or asleep, and it turned out really nicely. I love the color changes. I have to say a huge thank you to Lion Brand Yarn for providing the yarn for this project and allowing me to do this tutorial with their yarn. This video is sponsored, so thanks to Lion Brand for doing that. Thanks to my dad who's videotaping this and editing it and putting it out on YouTube for everyone to watch. He's so fabulous behind my shoulder doing all the zoom-ins for you guys. And thanks to you for watching. I hope you enjoyed this tutorial. If you did, give a big thumbs up and subscribe to our channel. Alright, until next time, happy hooking!